Welcome everyone to your daily episode of This is a Revolution. Back to you today for a second time. We are the eve of the anniversary show, RevPro's 14th anniversary show at Ovo Arena, Wembley. And tonight we are here to have a bit of a party, a bit of a vibe. I'm joined by Dave and I'm joined by Queen of the Indies, Tiffany.
Hey, my demented heart.
That's
there we go.
Probably one of like 3 times I've ever done that in my life. So we'll roll with
that was
it.
my first.
There you go.
There we go. Still breaking ground on first, Dave, even 100 episodes in. So
love that. Congrats.
It's a pleasure to have you here. But like really looking forward to just chatting with you and discussing RevPro and all of that good fun. And for the people at home who are thinking, hey, I did not expect this to be the streams crossing this way, because obviously people will know all of the episodes that you've had out lately, guests and interviews, which have been really great. I've been watching those, and that's kind of what kind of got me and you chatting. People might not know this. I saw something you were doing one day and I just sent you a DM because I was like, I loved your energy. I love how you talk about RevPro, but it's so cool seeing someone from the States being into the British scene, because it never normally seems to come this way. So it's like, this is really cool. So for those who don't know, how did you start getting into the British scene and what we do over here?
It's so wild because, again, like I'm still new, I'm still new to the British scene and everything. So it was Joe Lando. Was the RevPro cruiserweight British cruiserweight champion, and he came here into the States. And C4 is a promotion up in Canada. So they record. It's like one of the hottest promotions in Canada. And through all the years that I've been podcasting, C4 is always the promotion that everybody, like all the wrestlers, want to work at. And it's got a great crowd, everything. There's great wrestlers out there. I've had opportunities to chat with a whole bunch of them. And Joe came and he wrestled Ryan Clancy, Fancy Ryan Clancy. And it wasn't live, but I was like, okay, like I have to watch this match. People were talking, this is a Tiffany match, this is a Tiffany match, this is a Tiffany match. I am, anyone who's not familiar with me, I am obsessed with shooting star presses and the perfect bridge, as I like to call it. So if you're not doing the perfect bridge with toes, don't talk to me.
So I heard you say that on another podcast, and I was watching AEW a couple of days ago, and I actually thought of you because it was John Moxley and Jay White, and Moxley had Jay down like this, and he was bridging with the toes, and I was like, there we go. I knew straight away. I was like, you'll love that.
Pac, like forget Nick Wade, like forget it. So it's just so funny because I was waiting for it to air, because like everybody kept telling me, they're like, you have to watch this is your match or whatever. So when it finally aired, because they stream on their shows are on Fridays and then they air on Tuesdays. So the minute that I was able to watch it on IWTV, I went. Like, no offense, like I went straight to this match. I was like, I'll go back and watch everything else, but I was like, I went straight to this match. And I went straight to the match, and I was like losing my shit, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is amazing. I was like, all right. So then a couple weeks later, I was going to the JCW J Cup, which is in New Jersey, and they do this every year. And there's 2 nights, and I was like, all right. So I was like, I'm only gonna go like to one night because I'm here in New York, and like, it's tolls are crazy here in New York. So I was like, all right. I was like, I gotta go to the first night. Like all my friends were there, a bunch of wrestlers, Adam Priest and Darian Bankston, all this stuff, and Joe was on it. And I was like, all right, perfect. I was like, so I was up in the balcony and I was getting all the shooting stars. Like there was 5, bang, 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 at literally 5. Like I'm not even making this up. And I was clipping them all, and I kept posting them into the stories, and like Joe just was literally numbering them as he was sharing them. So when I went downstairs after the show, whatever, I was like, all right, I need to go meet somebody or whatever. And I went downstairs, and then all of a sudden I turn around and I bang into Joe. you know. And I started talking to Joe, and he knew who I was because we were having a conversation on like Twitter because I kept tagging the shooters, and he was like, "You were up in the balcony." I was like, "Yeah." So we started talking or whatever. Um, and then whatever, and then eventually like I had him on the podcast to chat. And then what wound up happening is my boy Joseph Alexander, A Game, one of my boys, one of my New York boys, I love him. He got the opportunity to go to WXW for 16 carat this year. And Joe wrestled Jay Joshua. I never saw Jay Joshua before. I said, say less, you know, and that was the match. I fell in love with Jay. And I was like, this is the match that solidified. Actually, no, Joe came after this match onto the podcast. That solidified for me. I was like, I'm going to follow RevPro. I was like, so that was the match. That was like, okay, that's it. I'm subscribing. That's it. And now here we are. Because, you know, it's crazy. But Joe came on the podcast, and I remember us talking about him and Joshua after the fact. So
I love that. Jay Joshua is, I mean, so is Joe, but like one of the nicest humans like you ever meet. Like it's so funny because he wrestles such a big, tough style, big, heavy hitting style. And then when you just chat to him, he's like the most pleasant man on earth, the most easygoing man. What's really interesting to me is like hearing your story because there's a lot of people, very different means, who are getting into RevPro via Joe Lando as well. Like he does his vlogs, and I know a bunch of people have got into it via that. But such a good pro wrestler, and like I heard AJ Styles say he's basically like the Amazing Red, and if you don't know who the Amazing Red is, then he can do everything Rey Mysterio can. And I was like, yeah, go on, Joe. Like this. We'd love to hear this.
It's crazy because I live like 10 minutes from House of Glory, so I watched. You know, I don't know, like some people are aware of this or whatever. I got to watch Amazing Red and Will Ospreay years ago in person at House of Glory. And it was like the most insane match to physically be in the building and being with the fans, you know, and in New York, like we love hard, you know what I'm saying? Like we're loud, you know, and that's how shows should be and everything. And we were loud and like we were losing our shit. And it was just, like I always remember that. It's just like a moment in wrestling that like I'll always remember. But Joe talked about it on my podcast too, that you know, Amazing Red, and it's like, when are we getting this match? Like, why haven't we got this match?
We were thinking, so in RevPro, you may be aware, you may not be, but there was a trios tournament, and at the end of the trios tournament, every member gets a trophy and they get a wish. And they're allowed to like basically book a match. And we were convinced for the longest time last year that the final trophy would get used so that CPF face off against the Amazing Red and the SAT. And I forget what the match ended up being, but we had Blue Panther, which was really, really cool. But yeah, I think a lot of us were expecting that Amazing Red match. It hasn't happened yet. And like, when is it coming? Like it has to come at some point.
It's crazy seeing like Amazing Red, and me and Amazing Red are the same age, and it's just wild, you know, at his age, you know, to be doing the stuff that he's doing. And it's just like, you know, he doesn't even need to like wrestle anymore, and it's just amazing. Like, you know, even to this day that I still physically get to see him at shows, and you know, like, you know, I think it's just like more of like pick and choose of what he wants to do, you know, and serves him right. He has every right to be like that, you know. I just saw him wrestle Charles Mason at Produce Wrestling a couple months ago, you know, like in person, which was awesome. So like, yeah, I'm putting it out there, very manifesting. Like I need Joe and Red. It has to happen.
He's one of those few wrestlers I've not managed to see live that I knew back in the day from when I was younger and started getting into the scene. I also need to thank you then as well, because it sounds like you may well be one of the very few guests that we have had on here. You go into a category of 2, Tiffany, of guests that are older than me. So I thank you, because we've had a lot of guests and people on this pod, and just barely,
I don't know if that's a good thing.
just barely, I'll add, just barely older than me. But every single guest that we have on here, and Dave rinses me for it every single time, I'm always the oldest person on this podcast. We're 115, 16, I can't even remember what number we are. And literally one other person on this podcast has been older than me. So thank you for being the second person. But what that also means is I have.
What are you talking about? I'm 22. What are you talking about? Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm 20. So yeah.
So
there we go. But what it also means is I know I have a kindred spirit in people that were watching wrestling back at that time and discovering all these cool people. And I would have been kind of what you are with RevPro now is what I would have been with Ring of Honor back in the day, or TNA, like finding how do I get to watch these Ring of Honor shows? I was on internet message boards and I had all these friends who are American and they were going to the shows and we were like, okay, so do you have a copy that you can send to us and we can like make copies of? And and that's how we got into Ring of Honor back in the day, because that was one of the only ways to see it. We did have this channel, it was called the Wrestling Channel, that existed for like about a year or so, and we get the odd TNA on there. My first love that I fell in love with American independent wrestling was MLW back in the day. And I just remember, all I remember from it was Satoshi Kojima, because they have this ranking system and like, this guy is very different to everything else that happens. But yeah, it's so cool to like see that flipped over now. But yes, long story short, we do need Amazing Red in RevPro. We need that to happen at some point.
And then if you figure out how to teleport me over there, let me know.
Absolutely.
It's so cool hearing like your entry point to RevPro being like so different to what we generally hear in England. So George and I would both say that our entry point was New Japan, even though we were like different kind of time frames. So George first went to his first RevPro show when he had like Jushin Thunder Liger and who was it, mate, that was on your first show as well as Liger?
No, I'm going to correct you there. I was a bit more of a filthy casual, right? So I was this person that was like, I like the good wrestling. I don't watch WWE and all of that sort of stuff. And then it was a poster with Bret Hitman Hart, Justin Gabriel, and John Morrison at the first RevPro show I went to that got me on board. But the match that made me stay was the second time ever that Will Ospreay and Ricochet ever had a match, way before New Japan. And I was like, this Will Ospreay kid's pretty good. And then the next show, Dave, you're right. I wasn't a New Japan fan at all. I knew the names. I knew that everyone supposedly loved Shinsuke Nakamura at the time. I didn't get it. I knew who Okada was. I had no idea who Naito and Kushida were. Like, I was like, who are these dudes? Like, Tanahashi was the man with the nice hair. So this was it for me. But it was Liger and AJ Styles in the main event that got me on my second one. But you're right. I was a filthy casual that got me into my first RevPro show.
I love that.
So was it, George, was it Oku and Ospreay's first match, the Southampton match? Is that what you'd say turned you from being like a casual fan into I'm going to come and invest in this?
100%, mate. Yeah. So I saw Pac was coming to Southampton. I was like, cool, Pac, town over. He's an AEW. I'm going to go and see that. I didn't know this was happening here. And Tiffany, if you kind of like to explain it, I don't know if you've ever watched the shows on demand, but Southampton is this weird, small little venue, like a tiny little venue, like a dingy club sort of venue. But over like the period up until I'd gone there for the first time, you've got people like Tony Storm had been there, Gunther had been there, Jamie Hayter had been there, all these big names that you associate with wrestling wider in the world. And then Will Ospreay was coming back for a period after the pandemic, and he went up against Michael Oku, and I was like, this Michael Oku kid's supposed to be pretty good. I'd never seen a match of his at all. He was Cruiserweight champion, and I thought, yeah, go for it. And that was the match where I went, this is what British wrestling could be. And people will talk about that trilogy, and they'll always say the second or the third match would be the best one. But for me, it's that first one, because it just showed like the quality that you're getting on these small shows.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, for me, it was watching New Japan and seeing Ospreay come out with the British title. So that was kind of like, what's that belt he's carrying? It was the same way that like Chase Owens would carry around the Texas Championship, and you'd be like, well, so what's that then? And it would just lead me down a rabbit hole of Wikipedia and things like that. And then I saw the video package. I must have been like Googling British wrestling enough for it to infiltrate my algorithm. And I got the video package for the second Ospreay Oku match, which was the very start. It was January 2022. And I just on a punt, I convinced a mate. I was like, let's go watch wrestling. Like, this could be like, we both like wrestling, but we never go and watch it. We just watch it on telly. Yeah. We kind of convinced ourselves that we were brave enough to go into the unknown. And that first show, when I got home that night, I bought tickets to the next big show, like the next 1,000 people in London show, and the next local show, which was like 150 people in a leisure centre. Yeah. And that was like me hooked. But it's often when we talk to people, it's Ospreay that hooked them, or it's the New Japan links that hooked them, or more recently in the last few years, it's AEW. It's when Sky Blue turned up at the 11th anniversary in the like opening contest and Jericho turned up at the end of the show, or when we've been able to have like MJF over and Mercedes Moné and people like that, and immediately it's got the AEW fans in. So it's so refreshing to hear somebody being like, no, the guys that got me into RevPro were like RevPro guys, like Joe Lando, Jay Joshua, people that like, and it's amazing to think that, you know, you've seen something, watched it and been like, that's so cool that I want to like watch more and more and more. And it's hooked you to the point where you're like, every single day I go online and I'm like, oh, look, there's a Queen of the Indies podcast. Who she got this time? And my one earlier was like, ooh, there's CPF. They don't have any tops on. What's going on here?
It's crazy because a long time ago, like, you know, I stopped watching wrestling for a long time. Life happened, you know, like, you know, here was like, I was a little girl. I used to watch with my dad, you know, like WWF at the time, you know? So, and then again, like I said, life, college stuff, like, you know, whatever. And then somewhere along the line, I started dating a guy, and his friend, who I'm still friends with to this day, he refs the guy in a bunch of indie places. And he's kind of really the reason like how I got into like the indie scene. And like I was watching like WWE a little bit, and like, you know, and then, you know, I kind of like fell off the wagon, and it was really the indie stuff. And like, but the indie stuff can really grab you, because it's like, if you're not liking something, right, like, you know, like there's another promotion that you can go find. And obviously with me, the whole Queen of the Indies thing was because of the fact that I'm all over the place, you know, like I'm finding new wrestlers every day, you know, and I interview all over the place, you know, so it's like, okay, well, she's from New York. Okay, granted, like, yeah, I've had my share of people from New York here, and I'm sure I'll still have people like going forward of people, you know, from New York. But like, even like last week, I had somebody from like California, like I've had people from Texas, you know, like Canada, like I all over the place, you know, so I'm all over the place. And it's like, if I get disgusted or if a promotion closed or something, you know, like there's something else I can go find and go enjoy it, everything like that. So it's crazy. You know, and then we have like the collective that happens here, and then like that's where like I had saw like Michael Oku before, like in Vegas last year, you know, and so like I knew who he was, you know, and it was like I felt bad. I was like, oh god, I was like, I hope he's not taking offense that, like, you know, like Joe was really the one that pulled me into like RevPro. It's just how it is. But I always knew, like, I was like, oh, that's the GOAT, like, you know, Michael Oku's the GOAT in like wrestling. You know, so, but yeah, my friend, he refs, and I started going to stuff in New York, and then, you know, you find one wrestler and then it brings you to another promotion, and I started venturing out to New Jersey, and then I started going to Connecticut and like Maine, like I started going like to certain places to go watch wrestling. And the same guy, my friend Jimmy, who refs, he went last year to like All In. And I remember he said to me, he was like, and I got like mad because I'm like, well, why didn't you ask me? Like, I would have came with you, like, knew nothing about like, you know, RevPro, like, but I knew RevPro, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you don't ask me to like come with you guys? Like, what the heck? Like, you know, so I told him this year, because he knows like I've been all into it. And I'm like, we're going next year. I was like, so get ready. Because like he was sending me stuff, and I'm like, I'm so mad at you. I was like, that you didn't prep me, that I could have saved and came with you guys. I was like, but look where we're at now. Now I'm all in, all fun, all in. We're all in, you know, with it. So hopefully next year I can come. I want to venture. There's just so much British wrestling that, you know, I found so many wonderful promotions, and I know there's still so much more that I haven't even discovered yet, you know.
Yeah, it's such a cool scene, and like even for me, it's been like a a journey of like discovering some and then going, right, but I know there's like a bunch up north I've just not even touched and know exist and know of them, but such great wrestlers over here. And the week that we're on now is kind of, I suppose, our version of the collective. Maybe not to such a grand scale with the amount of shows going on, but we've got those good big promotions going on. So we have Eve, Riot Cabaret, Progress Wrestling, and RevPro are the main ones. But I'm sure there's bound to be other shows.
Oh, you got Mystery Wrestling, which is here in Canada.
Mystery Wrestling. Yeah, I was so tempted to buy tickets for that. I was like, it's just too close to the start of RevPro for me that I couldn't quite do it. But I'm like, I've got that FOMO because I'm like, oh, I really wanted to go to that as well. And it's like infectious, and whatever you want, this scene has for you over here. So I'm not sure how much you know of the other companies, but Leighton kind of on your pod that you did with him referred to it with Riot Cabaret. They have great matches, but they also have a bunch of silliness, like really silly stuff. Eve leans into really silly comedic wrestling, but also great matches. Like you get such a variety. RevPro, you know the product there, what that's like, and Progress is maybe somewhere in between that and a WWE style. So whatever you're looking for, there is something here. And one of the things that I think's cool as well is seeing all these people and how they perform in different places, because what you've seen of Amira Blair and RevPro is nothing with what she does in Eve, for instance, like completely different. Like that woman has bags of personality, and you see it there. Like what she does is insane. So I really hope you do manage to make it over next year and just get to experience all of these, because it's the best time of the year.
No, I think if I come over there, I'm not leaving. I already got promoters messaging me from here, not necessarily New York, even outside of New York, Georgia, and stuff like that. Like messaging me, they're like, "You can't move to UK," and then I'm like, "But I'm trying to marry Joe Lando," and then they're like, "No." They're like, "No," and I'm like, "Damn." But meanwhile, Ash from Graps on Film is trying to marry me so he could come here.
I love that.
Oh, so let's talk Wembley.
Yes.
What is exciting you the most?
Hello. Say less. Say less. I sat here for a week rhinestoning this jersey. It took me a week. There's got to be over 5,000 rhinestones on this bitch. But no. Listen, I'm hyped. This is probably, I have not been this excited for a show like this in a long time. So I'm ecstatic. Like this whole card is insane. When Jay Joshua called out Zack Sabre Jr., I was like, oh my God. I was like, because Zack Sabre Jr., like I don't really follow like New Japan. My best friend does. And like I used to like randomly go over to his house. So he's like, oh, come over, come watch wrestling, and he would show me like New Japan because that's what he was focused on. So the first time that I ever, like, I don't remember how long ago. I think it was like before COVID, So I remember going over there, and then he was showing me like New Japan, and Zack Sabre Jr. I think was what, like, I don't remember which match it was. It's so long ago, and I saw him, and I was like, that's husband. I was like, I have this running joke that I have a list of husbands, So just for people who are not aware of it, it's like a funny little. That's my thing with the Queen of the Indies or whatever. I have a list of husbands. So, and Zack Sabre Jr. is definitely like one of the original like list of husbands, on it. So, and I just got to talk to him not that long ago. I went to the Produce show, and it was so funny because I'm easy that I could just like usually talk to wrestlers. Him, like I was definitely like afraid to go approach him, and I was like, that's a whole other level. It was like for wrestler for me. But I was like, when this got announced, that this match was happening, because I became such a hardcore Jay Joshua fan, like, like right next to Joe. And because Joe is just, Jay is such a typical different wrestler than like what I normally like, because I like the flippy, and stuff like that. So Jay Joshua, being the way that he is, and then and I'm obsessed with technical wrestlers, and Zack Sabre Jr., come on. So I'm really ecstatic. I think that's the match I'm looking forward to the most, just because of the style clash and because of like how I feel about like these two wrestlers. I'm not ready. Like, I'm totally not ready for this match.
It's going to be an insane match. Like the Zack match and the other match that used to happen a lot at RevPro in the anniversaries would be the Ishii match. They were the two big matches. The Zack match and the Ishii match. Who's going to get these? And when Zack was announced, we were trying to rack our brains, and I think most people landed on Jay being the person that they wanted to have the match. We interviewed Jay just a couple of days ago, and what we didn't realize until he told us was, because we said about the different styles, he's told us that he actually has a background in amateur wrestling, which is going to go really well in this match. And I'm really intrigued to see how he uses it, because you're right, it's a styles clash from what Zack does to what Jay does. Right. You mentioned that Jay isn't your typical style of wrestler. So what is it about Jay that drew you to him?
Yeah, right. Like it's weird, because anybody that does know me, like I said, knows like I like the flippy, or I like really technical, and probably like a lot of people will put me into like the hybrid kind of person, like style of wrestler that I like. I've been told this like a lot. I don't know. It just like, to me, like I look at Jay and I'm like, here's this like Haas wrestler, and like when I talked to him on the podcast, and he was saying like when he came to the States to visit, he was like, oh, everybody's like big over there, you know? So it's like, you know, maybe it's like the wrong word, but it's like you take this one look at him, you know, and it's like, here's this fast paced, like bigger guy, you know, that is going to screw you up, man. Like, you know, like, so I don't know. It just like, not really what it was. I was just like, that match with Joe, you know, really solidified something completely different than what I normally like and look for in a wrestler. So I guess like that's the best way, you know. And then when I watch his match with Manders, oh my God. Like I was like, I think that is my match of 2026 though, of favorite match. And I get Manders here all the time. Like I know Manders for years, you know. So to see him out there with Thomas Shire, which, you know, I've seen them wrestle each other here and stuff, but that it was it. I was just, you know, I'm excited.
So. That was a hell of a match. Dave and I were both there live for it, and I remember I bought a stand-in ticket to that show, and it was a long show, and I was starting to lose energy. I was starting to lose, but then that match, it was locked in time. Like, they're so good. And Manders is someone that we've got to know over the last like couple of years, maybe year and a half. So he did his first run over with RevPro, and I reached out to him and thought, I'm going to shoot my shot here. I'm going to ask him if he wants to come on the podcast. And like literally within 10 minutes of me sending the message, we had a podcast booked in, and we were like, oh my God, we've got this American wrestler coming on. Like, and from day one, have found him the easiest person in the world to talk to. We see him at every show. I've said that I think I have more photos of Manders as an adult than I do of my own mother. Like, it's not a joke. I have a picture of it every single show. We catch up all the time. We've recently had him and Shire on the podcast as well. And like, we set up an angle on the podcast as well to like try and it's just like, and then afterwards we just sat and chatted for 10 minutes or so, like such lovely dudes. But on the flip side of that is they can fucking go in the ring. And that's what we love about them. Like, they are bigger than everyone else over here. And the thing I always say is they're such good baby faces because of how good they are. Like, everyone loves them because they're so good. So to see them get the FTR match, like, I've been really vocal about it the last couple of years. That FTR versus Young Guns was my legit dream match in wrestling. Right, that's what I wanted above everything else, and I've been trying to manifest the shit out of this for years. Like, any opportunity I got, I'd be tagging Dax and Cash into something on Twitter. Go, so what do you think? What do you think? And then it was earlier this year, Dax like replied to that. I'm like, oh, okay, could this actually be happening? Then it got announced. I was like, oh my God, and it sucks what happened to Ethan, but for the team. If there was any team that was going to step into that breach and go against FTR, I'm glad it's the Cowboys, because I think there's going to be a lot of great matches, but I think that's that match of the night that I'm looking forward to most. It's just going to be insane.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's cool to see them here too, you know, with the belts. Like, I love that we're getting the belts over here too, that we get to see them.
Yeah, and it had to be like, if it couldn't be Young Guns, it had to be a proper tag team.
Yeah,
like it couldn't be Luke Jacobs and somebody. It had to be, because the whole idea, right, is FTR are the best in the world, so they're coming over to put their reputation on the line against another team that want to prove that they are the best in the world. So it couldn't be a makeshift team. It had to be. And then what better team than the Cowboys? They're the undisputed British tag team champions.
Yeah.
And then, so what do we do with Luke Jacobs? We'll do Luke Jacobs versus Pac. Yeah. Why not?
Like, here you go. Like, sorry that, here's, this was probably going to happen, but here's a gift, like, so, and it's a damn good gift, so.
Yeah. It's going to be an insane
I'm going to get my
match.
Bridges, and I'm going to be so excited. Like,
it's going to be so Bridges. Good. Pac just seems keep growing as well, but he's not losing any of that athleticism either. Like, I've seen Pac a few times over the years, and the first time I saw him was like 2006, and he was the skinny little kid that did a shooting star press off the top of a ladder. That's why I go back from that, and I'm like, he's all grown up now. He's a big lad, and him and Luke are gonna have an incredible match. And I think that one is one that I think people are sleeping on a little bit. Like, I see either people who are really excited for it, or people that are going, I'm sure it'll be good, because they're a little bit too spoiled sometimes. But I think, like you said, when you go from having, hey, there's this dream match against FTR, oh, sorry, we can't do that, and your pivot is to Pac, like, you're doing all right for yourself. Andy's done a good job there.
I don't think there's a sleeper on it,
Well, so the first anniversary show that they did was the 7th anniversary. So look at the 7th anniversary, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th anniversary show cards, and then look at this year's card, and that's how people are. We are spoiled. We are spoiled with RevPro, and you have to stop and actually, like, not take it for granted, because we've got 11 matches on Saturday, and we know that the Bryants, Danny Garcia and Wheeler Yuta is going to open the show, in the sense that it's going to go on between doors and the official first bell. We've then got, we know we're getting Ricky Knight Jr., Mark True, Kieran Lacey, and Will Caven versus all of CPF, including Callum Newman, to open the show. And then what the fuck goes on second? Because, like, what do you do? Do you do the scramble number 1 contenders match with Kaylee Ray and Rio and Myla Grace and all these great people in? Do you do the Revolution Gauntlet, which is going to, that's the one everyone's going to have their eyes on, being like, who's the surprise in there? Plus, before you even look at the surprises, we've got Dan Maloney back in there, and we've got all the crazy stuff that's going on with TK Cooper and David Francisco that is just going to be like a really nice kind of palate cleanser.
Yeah.
And then you've got Leon and Liam Slater, Pac and Luke Jacobs, Jay Joshua and Zack Sabre Jr., and the 4 massive storyline-led championship matches. Like, it is so stacked beyond stacked that there's nothing that you can look at and be like, oh yeah, that'll be a nice little, like, put that on second.
Yeah. You can't.
It's like, genuinely, we could see something. We could see the second, third match on the card being Luke Jacobs versus Pac.
Yeah.
Or being Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jay Joshua, because they've got to fit in somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, we know Mills and Oku headlines. I think it's a toss-up as to whether Kanji and Alexis Falcon goes on before that, or whether they go for the tag title match before that, depending on. I think the women's title match has the greater storyline and is the better one to go as the, like, semi-main, if you like. But
no, I actually think that with that, like, I feel like right after intermission, it's like, bang, we're going right into it. Like, I feel like that could be, like, I mean, listen, I'm, I like the way that you're thinking too, but I'm like, oh, to, like, really get the fans, like, no more buying food and no more bathroom breaks.
That's actually I'm not even convinced there will be an intermission on this, because actually traditionally it's on the big RevPro anniversary shows. It's
the bathroom.
It's the whole way through. Yeah. Get on wheels.
Go to the toilet before 5:30, before the Death Riders come out. Now hold it for 5 hours.
Pampers or something, right?
Yeah,
Diapers
I
or
was
something.
going to say the same
You're
thing.
gonna have to be like, do you know what? Maybe I could run to the loo during the entrances to the scramble match, because
No, but then you don't want to miss that
six
that
people
outfit.
are coming out. But I love the entrances, and like,
Yeah.
you know, everyone's going to put so much love and care into their gear, and
Right. You don't
like,
want to miss
it is
that.
literally, for me, it's going to be like when I used to go to a music festival, and you're just like, I've got a good spot.
Mhm.
I am holding it. I'm not going to the toilet. I don't care. I have self-control. I can do this.
You can do this.
I am locked in.
I'm now too old to do that at music festivals. I was like that. I'd be like, I'd stay by this stage for hours, and now I'm like, nope, okay, one band's done. Right, off I go.
You need one of those TVs. Well, like you guys are gonna be there, but like if you're home, you need one of those TVs that are on the wheels that they've been showing now that you can just like drag it with you as you go into the
Miss no action at all.
Listen, I'm sad. I wish I could be there. Like the way that I've been so hyped for this and like, doing the podcast and, chatting with everybody. Like again, like I said, I have not been this hyped for a show in a very long time. So that says everything for someone that lives here in the States, supporting British wrestling the way that I am and everything. Like is it Saturday yet? Like seriously, like come on.
Yeah. I'm counting down asking the same question. I've got my day job and I'm like, right, tomorrow is now officially the second half of the week. I've got one more day after that. Then Friday is like I've got Eve for the evening, so I've got to get the train to London, and then once I'm there, I'll be like, right, cool. Now I can settle into it. And I'm not doing all in this year. So I did the first 2 all ins, and I always said I'm never gonna come to London just for the indies. I'm always coming for the big event. And this year, because I've got a holiday next month that's costly, I've gone, actually, I'm fine with not going to all in, but I'm not missing RevPro. And I feel like I've been rewarded with this card because, it's incredible. And the one that I'm really intrigued to kind of see what your thoughts are on has been Slater versus Slater. So that's one that when I've been looking at kind of the fan base here, it's really divided fans, because I think some people wanted the big marquee match for Leon. But, he had great one last year with Michael Oku, and everyone was like, well, why aren't we getting that kind of marquee match? I've really loved the story of this one, and I'm kind of curious from your side, because it feels probably like the most British story, like the lad who was like 9 years old or whatever that went to train at a wrestling school, and this is his coach, and now they're going to face off against each other. How was that one landing for you, and how do you find Liam Slater?
I, personally, like, it's so funny. I'm thinking about like when this card was like coming out and stuff, and then I had people, but like, are they related? Like Slater and Slater. It was like the running joke. It was like going on with like people like my friends and stuff like that. But me personally, like I love stuff like student teacher matches. Like those are the ones that always hit the most. And like, it's funny. And I wish I would have caught this on my pod with Oku the other day, because we were talking off air. I was telling him how like I don't really watch so much of the mainstream stuff. Me personally, like I like to start from the beginning with people, so I know things like this mean more, and these are the matches that like I rather see. I don't need to see like listen, it's awesome, like you want to watch like the big names up against like somebody like that, but I think there's more meat to it when you're having that like student teacher vibe, and like you said, that's been like that story going on. So stuff like this, like I love and I yearn for, because these showcase more to me, so great, 2 wrestlers, and again, like I'm still learning with all these people, so it's still all new to me. Like when did I start subscribing? Like March, April, I think it was. So I'm still very new to RevPro, but it's kind of cool because like I'm starting to get into like the storylines and stuff, but I think this is cool, and I think it's gonna be so good. So this is not a sleeper match, at all to me. There is not one sleeper match on this card.
No, I would agree. Are you watching week on week, or are you picking up shows here and there?
Yeah, I'm trying to watch week on week, unless it was like somewhere like I think like I missed like a week in between or 2 because it was like I was away, so like I'm tweeting every week. So I've been kind of pretty consistent. Maybe there was like a couple that I missed. And again, like I follow other stuff too. That is not
Yeah.
just that. So I love the fact that I'm getting RevPro on Sundays and it's early. You know, so me like it'll air like 11:30 my time. So it's
Oh,
like, all right, cool. Like I'm
perfect.
sitting. Yeah, it really is. It's like, oh, perfect. I can sit on the couch. I can have some like late breakfast or an early lunch, and I can sit here and I can enjoy it. You know, like if I'm not doing anything on a Sunday. But I've been pretty good at like keeping tabs like weekly, and I was like, I like this because this is now like my new weekly show
Yeah.
that I've been supporting, because like we don't really have a lot of that weekly in the States. We got Wrestling
Yeah.
Open, you know.
Neither do we. Yeah, the RevPro is one of one in that. So most companies over here will do monthly. You might get smaller companies that might do once every other month. No one is doing the weekly schedule, and it's quite unprecedented. And that's why when we look at RevPro, it's kind of does have that Ring of Honor NXT kind of vibe, where it's not the top promotion with all the bells and whistles, but it is the great wrestling every single week, with maybe like 3 or 4 weeks here or there where it's not on. And then even then you're like, well, I've had this for so long that actually I'm okay with not having a week this week. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah. It was weird that we didn't have the week last week, right? Like no RevPro.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no
So
wrestling.
we had the week off. We had the week off this weekend, and that's the last weekend off of the year until November or December.
Wow.
And it is literally every single week, and occasionally twice a weekend. I think we'll hit 45 shows by the end of the year. Like
That's a lot.
between 45, about 45, which is like literally nobody else does it, right? Except for we've got a couple of companies in this country that do it, but it's a very different style product. It's very family friendly, and they tell stories at a much slower rate. So what you might get is a story that runs through a particular town. So every time I go and watch a company called Elevation Wrestling, they run quite local to me. Shah Samuels is their champion. Kanji is their women's champion. And Franco Fate, who wrestled for RevPro in Southampton a couple of weeks ago, is one half of their tag team champions with Simon Miller. So like they've got a good basis of wrestlers there, and they've got it's run by Joseph Connors and Jack Selstrom and Dave Breaks. So they've got like really good like trainers there. It's like a really good school. But what they tend to do is every time they're in Northampton, which is a random little town near me that I go and see them in, they'll book a similar group of wrestlers and they'll tell their story through their Northampton shows. And then they'll have their story that's told through their other town shows, and their stories told through their other town shows. Like no one does it quite like RevPro, where literally every single week is consequential to the next week. But we've said it, how many times have we said it, mate, on this podcast this last 2 weeks where we've been daily? The fact that you have all the YouTube stuff now means that if you do miss something, you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll check out the wrap-up on a Monday with Andy Coulden and Dave Bradshaw and listen to them just run over everything that happened on the show. Or you can literally watch Dave Bradshaw's 6-minute recap that he films at the commentary desk as soon as the show is finished. Like, they've really come a long way production-wise over the last sort of year or so to try and make it so that, you know, the fanatics like me, who literally I haven't missed a live show for a couple of years now, we're rewarded, but you're not punished if you can't do that, because realistically, not many people can. So you've got everything you need that way, which is, I think it's what is the phrase Andy Coulden always uses. They're too big to be a small company. They're too small to be a big company. And they just exist somewhere in between.
All right, move over. I'm like teleporting over. I can't miss this in person. I am. I'm like really upset. If I live close, I'd be there in a heartbeat. Like, and I'd be front row, loud. Probably get thrown out. Probably. I don't know if anybody can handle, me over there.
We were talking to Shah Samuels yesterday, and he said he wants people to be loud, because the thing that might come through sometimes on stream is the way that we can be quiet at times. Like we have a few fans in the fan base who are they don't take much encouragement. There's a lad that comes and sits next to me every time. You look at him, he looks like the quietest, most lovely boy in the world, and then he's a maniac when the bell starts. Like, he honestly is a maniac. I think what we need to do is we need to get you over here, and I think we need to sit you two next to each other. And I think what we need to do, just as an experiment, we need to put you both at the back of the room.
No, I want to be in the front.
just for one show as an experiment, because then I want to see what the reaction is. He came to the London show once at Portchester Hall. I was watching on stream, and another friend was watching on stream. We messaged each other, and we were like, "Can you hear Will?" Because we could hear him above the music in the venue. Well, it turns out he didn't realize this. There was a microphone set up to capture crowd noise. Yeah. He was standing right under it. So he was cheering, I think it was Yes Shikanji, at the top of his voice, and everyone at home heard him. It was fantastic.
No, you got to put us on the opposite side of which side is louder. That's what you got to do. But or I don't know why I started thinking about this. Years ago, there was a doubleheader, and I went to a promotion called Fight Life, and one of the kids, the Shooter Boys, I don't know if you're familiar, though, they come out of Creative Pro, so like MJF and all that, and they did Aaron did Locomotion, and that was always like my favorite thing from Matt Jackson, him doing Locomotion. So I think that's why I gravitated so quickly to Cameron Kai, and we talked about it when I had him on the podcast. I was like I said, you do Locomotion like Matt Jackson. He goes, that's exactly where I stole it from. But it was just so funny because the kid Aaron, when he started doing Locomotion at Fight Life, you hear me so loud and you hear me losing. Like, I couldn't believe the kid was doing it, and it was just like the reaction of me screaming that I was like, oh God. And then like round two of the German suplex, and you just hear me, and then you see the fans on the other side like pointing, laughing at me because I was wilding out, because they knew this is my thing or whatever. So you guys need me over there to pop for the certain things, and I can get into Leighton Buzzard's face, and fight him for Joe, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, and pop really loud for Locomotion,
So what you need to do then when you come over next year is you need to make sure your trip extends to the following Sunday at least.
Yeah.
So then you can do the anniversary show, but then you can come to probably Portchester Hall for the weekly live in London and come to that, because obviously two very different venue sizes, but great places, and it's quite fancy in there as well.
Yeah.
It's really fancy.
Is that the one with the red curtains?
Yeah.
All over? Okay, yeah, I love that venue on the TV, and I'm I love that's the thing, is it's so beautiful, the venues that you guys have that RevPro runs into. But again, there's so I know I need if I come out there, I need to extend, because it's not just RevPro that I want to do. I want to hit up Kamikaze and Riot and Attack, so I have my bucket lists of promotions that I probably need to come for a month and just lose my shit over there. So if anyone wants to sponsor me so I can come out there, I'll bake cookies, okay, for you guys.
I'm easily bribed with cookies, so that's good. My question that I've got for you, because you mentioned his name a minute ago, and I remember the first time I saw him wrestle, and he blew me away, and that was 3 or 4 years ago now. How good is Cameron Kai?
Oh, he's so good. He's so good. He's such a sweetie. I saw him. Sometimes some people just you just draw to, and I know he was heel, in those moments. His match with Bandito blew me out of the park. I knew it was gonna be good. I'm so excited for him, and here I am, and I'm so excited when I see these opportunities for the kids and stuff. And I messaged him after, and I was like, this was such an amazing match. I was like, I'm so proud of you, I genuinely so proud, and I will yell here from New York for you guys out here, so he's so good. He's definitely one that needs more eyes. I would love to see him here and like square up with a whole bunch of people here in the States. Like I have like probably like a list that he do so well with. But yeah, that one's gonna blow up. Just give it a little more time, I feel like. And that one's gonna be, here it is. He already main evented a RevPro show, which is crazy, and he's still young. And like I said, he's I'm already giving him his flowers, but I can't even imagine what he's gonna be like in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride for Cam. Like he debuted at 16, and like literally his first couple of matches were Oku and Mills, and like you could see like Andy had put him in with like two of the best and two people that could really like look after him in the ring, but he held up his end of the bargain so well. And then since then he's just got bigger and stronger and more confident, like, and he's like an absolute freak of a kid because like his chest, he is so hench. And it's funny because when I watched the Bandido Kai match from the balcony, so I was elevated looking down on the ring, and they basically have the exact same size body, same height, same chest, same arms, and you're like, Bandido's taken it, like he's had one hell of a career, and you're like, for our guys to be able to see people and be like, I'm the same size as them, I can do what he does. Like, there's inspiration there.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this gauntlet. Isaac Murray is one where it's like, it's going to be such a heartwarming moment. Like, he is literally a kid that has grown up in Revolution Pro Wrestling. Like, his granddad took him to his first show for a birthday present. And like this little community center show where they live when he was like I don't think he was even double digits, like 9 years old or something like that. And there was a flyer up that said like Portsmouth School of Wrestling kids classes, and he went to the one the next week and he was like, I've just never left.
Aw,
just
love
so
that.
He's like, he did the children's classes, then he did the teenager classes, then he's done like the intermediate classes, the advanced classes, and for him to be at Wembley is like massive. Like it is. Cool. I'm really hoping that, and I'm kind of expecting. I don't think it's been announced in any way, and I literally texted Andy earlier today to be like, before I write the preview for Saturday, like, are we confirming? Is it Cam and Isaac that start the match? Because they're the only two people that are like officially in it. Whereas everybody else is like, we're going in for it, providing the match doesn't finish in the first 2 minutes.
Right.
So for him to be able to come out and have that moment is going to be absolutely awesome. And then JJ Gal's in it, Francisco's in it, TK's in it, Driller's in it. And then you've got that kind of, I wonder who else will be in it. I wonder who's going to pop by on Saturday just to say hello.
Like, hi. It's gonna be crazy.
Tiffany, I'm going to ask you then, who's your outside pick for who could be one of those names in the gauntlet, one of those surprise names? Who are you going with?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like, it could be anything. Like, we could get Will Ospreay, like, since he is an original of RevPro for all we know.
Well, here's maybe the other question. Knowing those names that are in there and these names that you've watched week to week, who in AEW, who is probably a realistic level, would you like to see in there? Who you think would be quite cool to see in there with Dave Francisco, TK Cooper, Cameron Kai?
Me personally, like, I would love Adam Priest to be there. That's my boy. I've been supporting Priest forever.
He's good.
Killing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Adam Priest, Nick Wayne, like, but these are all like the indie that I've been from the beginning with these guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so I'm going to go that route. You know, like for the
love
pop,
that.
I would love for Nick Wayne. Like I love Nick. That's my boy. Like I you know. But yeah, I would love those two. Me personally.
I feel that if it wasn't for injury, then we would have had Nick Wayne and RevPro at some point.
Yeah.
Because he's just too good. And Adam Priest we had for RJ Cup last year, maybe the year before. I can't quite remember.
I remember him going over there, and like I watched him in WXW. I try to like watch like sometimes when he goes to like outside of the States, and I try to be like supporter for him. Like I know I've watched WXW with him. I'm trying to remember, did I like watch a match? Like God, there's so much, you know, and it's like sometimes you forget what you watch. But
100%. We got him and Ace Austin on that show, and it was fantastic because like Ace Austin's so good. I've seen him a few times. Priest, it was my first time seeing him. I'd heard a lot of good things. Fell in love with this dude straight away. Rest was my kind of wrestling. The best way I could describe him is he reminds me of a modern day version of Jamie Noble in all of the right ways, in ring, character, everything. I want more of that man. Dave, we have something to do now as well. So Tiffany and I were messaging earlier and we were talking about RevPro, and I said, okay, have you heard of our Lord and Savior Zazaya? And the answer was no. So I was like, oh, perfect t-shirt. I didn't even know you were wearing that. So Dave, what we're going to do is we are going to go one by one. I'm going to go first. I'm going to hand over to you. We are going to give Tiffany 3 Zazaya matches each for her to go and do her homework on and watch, because I was just trying to explain. And Tiffany, so Zazaya, he is a 6'3", 6'4" Spanish man, early 20s, one of the most lovely men you'll ever meet. Very handsome man, big athletic frame. He's an amateur wrestler, and exploded onto the scene over here. So RevPro did a show in Barcelona. He came in against Michael Oku. Everyone went, that was a bit good. So then they brought him back and everyone fell in love with him. So the only time I've ever seen the whole roster empty the ring and like give a farewell was when he left last year for NXT. Every single person has the most amazing things to say about him. Everyone loves him.
Hello, Kitty.
Everyone absolutely loved and adored the guy, and he was probably, no matter how good and consistent people like Joe Lando, Michael Oku, Jay Joshua all were, he was probably even a level of consistency above that. Like he just had a golden year, and it's probably the wrestler, even though he's not around in RevPro anymore, that would be just an amazing one to show you. So I'm gonna start, and the first match I'm going to recommend to you, and don't worry, you don't have to write these down. I'll send them to you on DM. Dave's being attacked there. It is Leon Slater versus Zazaya, and that was, I can't remember the name of the show. It was the December show, and I think it was Uprising, December a couple of years ago, and that was Uprising 2024. 60-minute Iron Man match.
Oh my, okay. I'm here.
I'm not an Iron Man match guy, okay? I hate when I know how long is left in a match, because I lose all suspense from it, right? If I know how long a match goes for. I also have Iron Man match fatigue, because it's just one of the most overused concepts and never done very well, or very rarely done well. This made me wish I'd been at that show. I was absolutely gutted I couldn't be there. And I think is probably the best Iron Man match I've ever watched.
Okay, I love that. You made me think of Yuta Wheeler and Daniel Garcia that I saw at IWTV 100. That was an Iron Man match, but it was so hot. One of the best matches I saw, though.
I think that match between Garcia and Yuta, I think that showed that you can do an Iron Man match like that in independent wrestling. And I don't think it's a coincidence at all that match happened, although it was a little bit of time before Andy booked Leon and Zazaya to do a 60-minute. But I'm not sure he books that match if Danny and Yuta don't do theirs. Look at that. First.
How funny is that, right?
Crossover there.
Look at that.
I'm gonna go the other end of the scale.
Okay.
So I would say that when Zazaya was in that match with Leon, when they had that match at the Iron Man match, it was like the beginning of the end for Zazaya. It was just before it seemed to be on the cards that he was going to WWE. So I'm going to go right back to the start and say, watch the first ever match he had in Barcelona against Michael Oku.
Okay.
Because you'll see the Zazaya that you see in York Hall is the most confident kid. Like he'd grown into himself.
Okay.
Whereas the Zazaya we saw in Spain very much was like the local boys being given a chance. And the Spanish crowd is hot as. Like they created such an atmosphere for it. So yeah, the Live in Spain, 2024 April, I think.
Okay.
Sure
Yeah, it was 13th of April.
Yeah.
Look at that. Spot on.
Nice. Okay, so my next one that I'm going with, I love tag team wrestling.
Okay.
I love Young Guns and the chemistry that Zazaya has with Michael Oku, whether it's as partners or as opponents, is unmatched. They had this most amazing match in front of my eyes that made me stand up multiple times because it was just like, what was that I was witnessing? If I remember correctly, everyone stood up. It got a standing ovation. That 2024, August 2024, only been in the company a couple of months by that point, but it's absolutely stealing the show. So that would be my next recommendation for Zazaya match.
So you love CPF. So Trios Grand Prix final, CPF versus the Barcelona Blacklist. So that is Zazaya with Joey Torres and Cito Sanchez. Yeah, just trios wrestling at its hottest.
Ooh, okay. I'm here for trios. We need more like trios tournaments, to be honest with you. So I'm here for it. I feel like we have a lot of trio teams out there. We could make something happen, right?
Well, we're hoping that the trios tournament comes back to RevPro this year, and Ricochet and the Demand have thrown their name into the ring for when it does happen. They're coming back for that, so that should be good.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball because I can imagine what Dave's last one could be. I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball one in there, and we're going to go to Coventry. We're going to go to something very different. For what Zazaya is known for is this really great technical in-ring wrestling, and it's the art. So his final match that he ever did was about being an artist. The canvas is where he makes his art. There was a match in Coventry against a certain man you may know. His name's Jay Joshua. They had an absolutely fantastic last man standing match, which did not skimp on great wrestling, but it took all of those tropes that could be done really well in a last man standing match, and they turned what felt like a little bit of rivalry into a proper feud. And yeah, fantastic. Again, last man standing matches I can feel can usually be a trope that is done badly. So I'm scarred by a lot of these things. But it was done so well.
I think RevPro do stipulation matches really well because they don't do them very often. But when they do them, there's a very, very clear like vision behind how it's going to play. So Zazaya and Jay's last man standing match, like there's very, very few weapon spots in it. It is just brutal, violent wrestling. And the last one, it has to be, thank you for leaving it for me, mate, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Zazaya at the anniversary show last year, which was his goodbye match. And it was the artist versus the young new pretender.
Okay.
So there we go.
Got homework.
Six matches. It's the first time we've ever given anyone homework on this podcast. But I feel like you'd welcome the homework, and I expect once you've gone through that, you might have another wrestler who you might be going, I'm quite liking what I'm looking there. we'll happily give you homework whenever you want us.
Hey, I'm always looking for new people and stuff, and like, matches. I like when people recommend, people always ask me, right? Like they'll be like, oh, like I get messages all the time. I get messages from wrestlers asking me, and a lot of wrestlers also tell me too, they're like that they find other wrestlers because of my podcast, which is pretty neat to, to think that like, damn, you're looking at me for certain people because they know that like, when I start putting over somebody, they're they got to be damn good. So that's nice. Cool, but I like seeing that stuff. Sometimes like I'll put a post out and say like, oh, drop some matches or whatever, and like like I'll go through some I've seen, some I didn't see, so but we're always learning, right? Like I just found Dad's Black too recently, promoter from here and from Connecticut told me, and then they came in to the state, and then something happened with my car, so I was so sad because I was going to meet Dad's. And like it was funny how when they recommended him to me, and they're like, well, you watch British wrestling, and I was like, jam, like throw me under the bus, I didn't know who it was, and I'm like, all right. And then what was the first match that came up on the feed for me? Him and Jay Joshua at North Wrestling. And I was like, sold.
Of course it was. But that's the beauty, right? It's getting to know people, and even here, like for me, you've got Pro Wrestling Chaos, who they're very much in the Welsh scene. They're like Wales, Bristol, which is about an hour and a half from me. And there'll be people there that I've never seen before. I'll go, this is really cool. And that's where Jay Joshua, Leon Cage, James Ellis, these people were hiding. I said to Jay the other day that Wales is like the crystal ball of wrestling. Like you look at Wales now to see what's going to be happening in the rest of the scene in 2-3 years time, because invariably it comes from there. But we'll absolutely give you homework down the line. Like we love this. I've loved this conversation. It's so cool, like speaking to someone, and like I said, speaking to someone from a very different like country, way of life in terms of wrestling and scenes and everything to what we have here, and hearing your story about how you got into this. I could quite easily sit here for another few hours and talk. Like it's been that cool. But I've got dinner getting plated up for me now, so I cannot speak anymore. But like we created this podcast just over 2 years ago now, and I said I just want to do it because I want to talk about RevPro. Our story was Dave then messaged me and went, I'd like to do that as well. Do you fancy doing it together? And we're like, yeah, let's do this monthly. And then we started doing it every week, and we've done it pretty much every week for 2 years. So if we can speak to people like yourself who are just getting into it and like just really trying to understand everything that's going on, that's really cool to us. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
I hope you're going to be seated with all the fun snacks and whatever your setup looks like.
Got
for
blankets and pillows, and we'll get the snack tray. I'll be enjoying.
And it'll be like what will be early afternoon for you there when it starts, like 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock my time.
Perfect. Lovely. Oh, that sounds great. Yeah,
that's the good thing about you guys being 5 hours ahead of me. It's like, oh, okay, like, and then I'll still have the night to watch another show if I want to.
God, well, I'll try waving to you from the front row. So
please do, and you gotta do something in my honor for my boys or something. When CPF comes out, like I don't know, like maybe you need to make a sign if like Tiffany says she loves you guys, like.
Tiffany's got a restraining order. Well, guys, if unlike Tiffany, you don't have a restraining order, then revolutionprowrestling.com is where you can go to buy your tickets. Like I said, there are premium tickets available in the front sections. You'll have a great time. If that's not your thing, or you just want to get yourself at the door, around £40 is what will get you a ticket into the biggest card in British professional wrestling for independence. It's going to be fantastic. There's a number of matches we've spoken about today where for that alone is going to be worth the £40. You're going to see history-making moments, a history-making event. Go to revolutionprowrestling.com this Saturday, 29th of August, OVO Arena, Wembley. I've been George. This has been Dave and Tiffany. And we're out of here.
Thank you.